Well, welcome everybody. I'm excited to have you here. This is 4Q Boundaries' first live presentation, and this is a big learning curve for myself, so I'm hoping you enjoy tonight's live. Uh, we're going to start the evening out by sort of thinking about a specific question. And the question is actually on the screen itself. It says, feeling pulled in millions of directions, bombarded by demands, and utterly disconnected. And what we're doing is the question is all about, what am I experiencing? How am I experiencing myself? And is there something I can do about this? So my name is Michael Spackman. I am a craniosacral therapist as well as business owner and creator of 4Q Boundaries. I have been meditating since 1994. I have meditated for thousands of hours. I have trained thousands of people on meditation. I've worked with people as a manual therapist, which is what craniosacral therapy is. And I've worked with people on really how do you develop your personal boundaries. And this is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And it's the reason why I created 4Q Boundaries. 4Q Boundaries stands for 4 questions about boundaries. And this is part of what we'll be exploring tonight. The majority of tonight's presentation is actually a meditation. I'll go into that a little bit later, but just to let you know, if you're interested in exploring your personal space and boundaries, well, tonight you'll be doing that, as well as we'll be doing that over the next 10 weeks, in fact. So, but tonight's purpose is basically we'll be bringing awareness to external stimuli and how to release that out of your personal space. So when we talk about personal space, when I mention that, what I mean, this, by the way, is not psychology. This is actually how I work with my clients as a craniosacral therapist. And really, I'm applying tools that I've been using for over 30 years and marrying these two areas together. So when I talk about personal space, I'm talking about the edge of your aura or your electromagnetic field and inwards. And within this space of you actually have what we call 4 different bodies. The physical body, and as well as you can see, I put it on there, the physical body, which is really, it's where you're at this moment in time. Okay, this is your digestive system, your nervous system. It's your physical form. And as a manual therapist, guess what? We work with the physical form. But there's also more layers to you than just this physical body. You also have emotions, which is, I call the emotional body. And that's really a non-logical space. This is something, it's your emotions. It's that felt sense experience, but not from a tangible level, but from that emotional level. It's a non-logical experience. Happy, sad, anger, those are all emotions, which is different than a physical body. The physical body expresses itself maybe through pain, things like that. So those are different. You also have a mental body. The mental body is your scripts. It's how you define yourself. It's your belief systems. It's the thought process that happens within you. It's your perceptions. Labeling things. You're watching this video, so therefore you're watching it using your physical body, but then you're interpreting what I say through your thoughts. And then you have your spiritual body. And I like to define your spiritual body not from a religious context, but really from something that we can all understand. It's called, am I present right here, right now, or am I drifting? Am I going someplace else? And we all experience that. If you're sitting here and you're having, let's say, a conversation with somebody, but the next thing you start thinking about something else, and next thing you know, you sort of drifted off and you started experiencing that something else, and you lost what that person was saying. Well, where did you go? You actually left. So you actually, you had a spiritual experience because you were no longer here. You were somewhere else. And guess what? You were like, oh, what did the person say? I wasn't listening. You also can tell when somebody else is doing that because you can look right at them. You can look right in their eyes and you're like, you're not paying attention to me. Because guess what? You saw that they weren't home. They weren't in their body. They were somewhere else. We also do this, unfortunately, when we drive. Sometimes we're driving, next thing you know, we're on autopilot and we're off somewhere else. And then you're realizing, whoa, where am I at? I just missed my exit. It's not really safe to do that, but it does happen, which is a lot of times why accidents may happen. So those are the different bodies within what we call your overall personal space. So one of the things I sort of labeled this is the root of overwhelm and anxiety. And we can say this in many different ways, but basically your physical body, for it to maintain health, it requires homeostasis. And what homeostasis is nothing more than when you get a stimulus in your body, let's say you get ill, your body has to put something in place in order for your body to balance itself out so that way you can be healthy. And that awareness of homeostasis is really, really important because every time you put a stimulus in your body has to keep balancing yourself out. And at some point in time, if you don't start releasing the stimulus out of your body and allowing the body to sort of release the balancing act, so to speak, your body gets overwhelmed because it's like, dude, I have no more space or capacity to handle all this stimulus. And then what happens is you get sick or you get ill, you basically break down. And if you're not paying attention to your body feeling this, this level of overwhelm, and you're just like going, I'm too busy. I don't have time to settle down and to release all this stuff. That demand that you experience. And if you don't actually let it go, after a while, the body goes, I'm sorry, can't help you. It's like, I've been trying to keep you balanced, but now this is the last straw, basically, that broke the camel's back. And now the body starts breaking down, and then we go, why is this happening to me? Well, why it's happening to you is because the body has been telling you this whole time, look, I need a break. I need to de-stress. I need to release stuff so that way I can find my center again and feel balanced. And what we don't recognize a lot of times is that you're not just a physical body. You also have, like we said, emotional body, a mental body, and a spiritual body. And within those bodies, we can experience stimuli. Your emotions. Let's say you have, let's say you got into a fight with somebody and the fight's over, but you're still wrapped up in the fight and you can just feel it. And every time you see that person or every time you may think of that person, you feel it in your body again. And guess what? The anger may be still there. Well, guess what? That's an emotion that is affecting your physical body. And unless you release that emotion, guess what? That stimulus is going to be there. And unfortunately, we're really good at sort of suppressing our emotions. So you may go, okay, well, I'll deal with it later. And you suppress those emotions, but guess what? You never released it. And so now you're holding baggage that you're sort of over, you've glossed it over. You've sort of gone unconscious to it. And it sort of rears its ugly head every so often where you just get angry with this person. You don't know why. Well, that's because you've repressed some of that emotion and then it comes back up. But then you repress it again and it comes back up. Well, guess what? That is actually holding on to emotional energy that's in your emotional body that your physical body is now managing because your emotional body is connected to your physical body. And then let's go a little step further. Let's say your mental body, let's say you can't stop obsessing about something. Let's say you're at work or at school and you got this demand that you go, oh my God, I have to do this, 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 and you have all these to-do lists in your head and you can't stop thinking about it. Well, guess what? If you can't stop thinking about it, it can turn into a stressor, which is called something that gets locked into your space. And then next, that can turn into an emotional stressor, which then guess what? Turns into a physical stressor. And then now that physical stressor, your body is now managing that mental stressor. So that mental stressor can turn into an emotional stressor that can also turn into the body now having to manage all this stuff. And then guess what? We talk about the spiritual body. Like I mentioned earlier, I like to say, are you present or not? So let's say you're experiencing all this stuff. Your physical body's managing this emotional stuff, this mental stuff, and you're like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay, what do I want to do? Well, let me go read a book. That's what I did as a kid. I still do that as an adult. I don't want to deal with stuff. So you jump in a book and you go to a different world, and then guess what? You're in a different world. You're not there. So you don't have to experience the mental, the emotional, or the physical stressors in your body, the stimuli that's in there. Because now you're in a totally different universe and you're enjoying yourself until you come back to reality and you're like, oh my God, this stuff never disappeared. Or you jump into a TV set, where you're watching TV and you're addicted to watching that television because guess what? If I can watch the television, then I don't have to pay attention to what's going on in here. And so there's different ways that we actually have a spiritual experience. And the spiritual experience is really simple. It's called I'm not present anymore. Daydreaming is a spiritual experiencing. Going to sleep, leaving. When you're asleep, you're not in your body anymore. Guess what? That's a spiritual experience. So when I talk about the spiritual body, I'm not going into the religious context of things. It's something that you can track and you can pay attention to. And that's important because as we are going through this stuff with 4Q boundaries, these 4 layers, these 4 bodies of you are always communicating with you, are always telling you what's going on, which then tells you really your state of being, what's happening. And it's important to know. And the reason why it's important to know is that with the stimuli that I talked about, the stimulus that's in your physical body, that's managing all the other bodies as well, by the way. Because guess what? You can't have a spiritual experience if you don't have a house. And your house is your physical body. So you got the physical body that's managing the emotions, the mental, and the spiritual. And it's all about homeostasis. The more that your body can find that balance, then guess what? You feel balanced within. And when you don't feel balanced, then you get to figure out, okay, well, where in my space, my personal space, am I out of balance? Is it on a physical level where maybe you're injured? Is it your emotions are out of balance? Is it your mental space? You're stuck in patterns that are not healthy? Is it you're never home because you're always somewhere else? Those are all stimuli that causes you to be out of balance. And by realizing it's like, oh, wow, I need to be more present. Well, being more present then allows you to be in here. Which then you can go, oh, I need to do something to get rid of the stimuli, which is what we're looking at this chart for, is because the more that you're able to pay attention to what's happening within these 4 layers, then you can say, okay, well, what do I need to do to get rid of it? And that's part of what we'll be doing tonight, as well as the next 10 weeks. We'll be learning 10 tools, 1 each week. And tonight we'll be learning about the grounding cord. Now, the grounding cord is a really simple tool. It's basically we're connecting ourselves to the planet, and then we're using that grounding cord to release. And what it does is that grounding cord allows you to have a space for the stimuli to go. So when you're stressed, when you're holding on to stuff, well, guess what? You're holding on to it. It's somewhere within your own personal space, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And because you're holding on to it, well, guess what? There's no way to release it because you're holding. The grounding cord gives you that space to go, and then your body starts to relax. And then next you know, you go, wow, I'm actually feeling myself. I'm no longer in the future. I'm here in the present. And the more that you're able to get yourself in the present, which is where your physical body is at, guess what? Your emotional body starts to calm down because you're bringing your emotions into the present. Your mental body starts to get into the present. You're not strategizing the future or thinking about the past. You're in the present. You're no longer daydreaming, unless you want to. You're no longer somewhere else. You're in the present. You're with your body. And then the more that you're able to be with your body on a physical level, emotional level, mental level, spiritual level, the more relaxed your body can become. Because it's not juggling all these things, all these stimuli. And that's why we ground. And that's the reason why we'll be teaching grounding core tonight, because it's actually the first tool to learn on how to be present in your body this moment in time. So tonight, as we learn the process of grounding, 4Q boundaries, we keep it really simple. I actually don't like teaching information because information is a mental thing, and we're addressing these tools actually impact your physical, your emotional, mental, and spiritual. So if all you're doing is thinking about, well, how I should be and the rules of engagement, so to speak, or how, tell me how everything works, that's a mental thing. And what I want you to do is have a felt sense experience. Can you experience yourself and learn about how do I experience myself physically? How do I experience my emotional self? How do I experience my mental self? How do I experience my spiritual self? And when you start to become more aware of those layers, then you're able to identify where the stressors are within those spaces. But guess what? This is your first time probably ever experiencing this concept. And so what I like to do, and especially with brand new people, is I like to keep it simple. And this is what I call the 3-step process. So within tonight's experience, we'll be listening to an audio, and we'll talk about more of that in the next slide, but it's going to be about 21 minutes long. And all I want you to do is follow this 3-step process. It's very simple. It's called listen to the audio, notice what you notice, and then continue listening to the audio. And so part of that is noticing what you notice can be what's happening. Maybe it's like you start listening to the audio, and the next thing you know, it's like my bladder is full. I need to go to the bathroom. Oh, guess what? You're listening to your physical body. Your body goes, oh, bladder. Your emotions may start. You may start to experience something on an emotional level. Well, is it happening in the moment? Is it the stimulus that's happening emotionally occurring in this moment? Or is it coming up because as you listen to the audio, this emotional experience is starting to occur? And if that's the case, the tool will show you how to do it, how to release this stuff. Mental, again, thought process. Is this working? What's happening? Things like that. Well, guess what? You're now experiencing your mental body, because now you're thinking about the experience versus can I just pay attention? And so now validate it. So, wow, I'm using my mental body to try to figure out what's happening. And that's also sometimes we use that to override other things, like maybe there's emotions happening underneath this that you're trying to override. And then also maybe you fall asleep. That's okay too. Guess what? You just had a spiritual experience while you were doing the meditation tonight. So tonight's meditation, like I said, it's going to be about 21 minutes long. You don't have to do anything. So sit back, relax, listen to the audio. The biggest thing I'd say is pay attention to your body. Notice the weight of your body. And we'll go through this in the audio itself. But I want you just to notice, can I stay present with myself this moment in time, listening to the audio? as well as noticing when you're not. And guess what? That is the learning. This is experiential training. The audios that we're listening to tonight is the training that we teach at 4Q Boundaries. I'm not interested in teaching you information because you have so much information within yourself. It's just that we don't listen. We don't trust ourselves because we were trained not to trust our own instincts. We were trained not to listen to what's happening within. We're always looking for somebody to tell us what to do, how to think, how to be. And what I want in 4Q Boundaries, and this is what I never answered, which is what is 4Q Boundaries? It's 4Q Boundaries is nothing more than 4 questions about your boundaries. And those questions are, is what do I notice physically as I'm listening to, let's say, this audio? What am I notice emotionally as I listen to this audio? What I'm noticing mentally as I listen to this audio? And what do I notice spiritually as I listen to this audio? So by asking a question, you start getting your information, you start getting your answers. And the reason why we have these audios is for you to slow down so that way you start to experience yourself, so that way you start to learn how you perceive things, how you experience life. And that's why we categorize the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So that's tonight's meditation. So we're going to move on to the meditation itself. Hooray! Michael's done talking. And whoops, let's see. I'm having a little computer error here, so just a second for me. And let's see if it's going to be stubborn tonight.